I want to talk about psychedelics in general, but I want to talk about so Kalinda E. I watched a video with him, and he was talking about I forget who he was talking about, but the basic thing that he was saying is that there's a lot of people that claim to be like professionals in the psychedelic world, in the psychedelic field, but these professionals, some of them haven't even had any psychedelic experiences. They're just studying psychedelics and they're claimed to be experts. Some of them have had less than like 20 psychedelic experiences and they claim to be an expert. Um, a lot of, and I bet he probably caused, by saying this shit publicly, I bet he caused a lot of people to not probably want to work with him, or probably the people he talked about obviously probably didn't want to, work with him. But I feel like Kalindi E has like done more, like Kalindi E, Terrence McKenna, people that actually dive into the psychedelics do more for the psychedelic community than the scientists. The scientists are more doing it to please the overlords. Like, for real, like, all jokes aside, it's like the scientists are doing it and they have to do it a certain way, so it's like facts. So it's so it's 100% real to everybody and no one can deny it type shit. In order to do that, you have to do science to get to the psychedelic experience. So right now, scientists are basically only looking at it to heal depression and anxiety, but science is like, that's like looking at the ocean and saying, oh my god, we can get salt from the ocean. And it's like, yes, you can get salt from the ocean, but it's like somebody having no idea that there's fish and animals and things in the ocean, and they're just like, oh, we can get salt from the ocean. Like, yes, sea salt, but there's a whole world in there. Just like with psychedelics, yes, they can help with depression and anxiety and all these things, but there's a world in there. Like, literally, there's an entire world in there. And I want to like put out this it's a theory, it's like an idea I said in a video forever ago. I forget what the fuck I called the video. But I was talking about basically, so this idea is humans are experiencing a molecule experience, okay? So the idea is basically that right now, for anyone to be a human being, like, the human experience is a molecule experience. Like, your brain, when humans call something sober, there is no such thing as sober. There is only the base landing of the human experience. But your base landing of human experience is completely different than my base landing of human experience, because your molecules fluctuate different than mine, and some people learn how to hack their own molecules, other people don't. So there's this thing that's like, well, some people don't realize that what they eat and what they ingest matters to how they feel and how they think. A lot of people don't get the correlation between the fact that what we consume is what we become. So, like, when you are consuming, I guess, garbage food, like the normal American diet, hamburgers, pizza, this and that, right? If you're not getting many fruits and vegetables, you're going to be a little lower on some molecules that could help you be a little happier. Like, the sober state of human being is a serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, norepinephrine, fucking, and the list goes on and on and on and on, GABA, all these different molecules that are inside of us. There's probably hundreds, probably thousands, I don't know. But there's a lot, and they call them neurotransmitters or body hormones or, what do they call them, amino acids. I hate, this is what bothers me with science, is I get it that yes, they're all slightly different, but drugs are the same thing as amino acids, and the same things as body hormones, and the same things as neurotransmitters. They're just molecules that can work on the human thing. The difference, and I get that we have to call, neurotransmitters are basically like endogenous neurotransmitters are endogenous because they're naturally in our body. and they're neurotransmitters because they're used to transmit through the neurons and shit, whatever. So it is a description of what it actually is, but I wish that scientists were more open with explaining to the public that they're drugs. And if we can get to the understanding that, okay, we're literally fluctuating drugs all the time. I heard Dennis McKenna talk about like the brain is a machine that's literally turning out drugs all day long, and that's real. The brain is literally like, in a sense, you eat food, and what your brain does in your body, your entire body, your stomach, your brain, the whole thing, it literally is a chemistry lab where you're taking molecules from Mother Nature and turning them into the molecules that you need. Serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, like all these different things, they're made from the food you eat. And when you eat food, your body is literally turning the food into the molecules that your body needs to just be sober, quote unquote, to be the human experience, to be able to feel the way you feel, like to have feelings, to feel happy when you're happy, to feel sad when you're sad. It requires molecules. And this is why in the modern way of trying to, like, let's say somebody has depression, they give them something like something like an SSRI or whatever, which then fucks with serotonin, which then can either, I think it just blocks their serotonin from being able to be reuptake, because they're like reuptake inhibitors. So what that means is basically the serotonin that you create is just in your bloodstream for a longer period of time. When in my personal opinion, I think it'd be better off just to take serotonin type molecules and have a different experience, because like, so psychedelics work on the serotonin receptors, but they're completely different things, because what they will do is, while we have our normal molecules of serotonin, dopamine, yada yada yada, right? When you take something like LSD or mushrooms, your molecules that are usually fluctuating through your bloodstream is different. Like, it's not just you take the molecule and now that molecule is in place of where the serotonin is, yes. But, like, let's say you take, I don't know, LSD or, whatever, and then you take it and it goes into the receptor. It goes into a receptor where a natural molecule that your body would, already make would be. But it takes the place of that natural molecule for, about 12 hours or whatever. So, because it does that, while it's also in there, it's not just it's replacing the serotonin molecule or whatever. It's also giving your body instructions to then release a certain collection of neurotransmitters and molecules. So, like, as the LSD goes into you, it then tells you to release dopamine, norepinephrine, like all these other things, because LSD is much different than like mushrooms or like DMT or whatever, because LSD works on so many different receptors other than the serotonin. I'm pretty sure LSD is the only psychedelic other than mescaline. I think mescaline also works on the dopamine receptors. LSD works on the serotonin receptors and the dopamine receptors, and I think something else, but like I'm pretty sure mescaline also works on the dopamine receptors. This is why they have more of an energy thing to them than mushrooms do. But this is the thing that we are. And I really wish scientists would talk more about shit like this. Or like, maybe it's that humans don't even think about the world in this way yet. Like, I don't think humans really think about, even scientists, I don't think people think about the fact that we wake up and we're in a molecule experience. We're like, you wake up and you're immediately in a drug experience. You were born out of your mama and you literally started a drug experience, because the molecules started fluctuating in your brain, and then by the time you could open your eyes and see or hear, like, to see or hear required certain molecules to flow in your brain. As you get older, as you become an adult, you could take external molecules to then alter your consciousness. But even as a child, humans will say, well, this kid has ADHD, or this kid has this problem, this kid has depression, this kid has anxiety, this kid has this. So then they try to give them molecules to help with that. The problem I have with the world is that these people are claiming that they know more than they actually do, to the point where they are comfortable, to the point where our society was comfortable giving children Adderall, which is a derivative of meth. And, like, from my personal research on molecules and psychedelics and drugs and this whole thing, meth and Adderall, Vyvanse, I've never done those type of drugs. I've never even done cocaine. Like, I've never even tried cocaine. The reason is because those drugs scare me in a way that, like, I have friends in the streets. I have people that really, like, I've seen what meth has done to people firsthand, face to face. It fucks people's lives up. I've seen what Adderall does to people as well, which is things that people don't want to say, things behind closed doors, like, because everyone's still, it's almost like we're caught in this loop of not being able to just say, okay, we messed up, let's try something different. Like, it's not a big fucking deal. Like, it's not the scientist's fault. It's not the doctor's fault. It's not Big Pharma. Like, everyone blames Big Pharma, but they're just doing the best they can with the fucking knowledge they have. Like, they're doing the best they can because they're not fucking geniuses. They're probably, it's like some of the richest people in the world, most of them are not really that smart. Like, they're smart in the way to make money and business and shit, but they're not smart in the aspect of this. So, like, yeah, Big Pharma hires a bunch of scientists and they do all this shit, and the scientists are smart and they're doing this, but they have to follow a curriculum or follow a thing. So it's like, it's very hard to put new ideas into the world because we create systems that we say are absolute, which that's what I have a problem with. I don't have anything against religion. I have a problem with these institutions claiming that they know the absolute, that they know the almighty everything, that Big Pharma knows the almighty molecules and everything about them and what molecules we need and what molecules, and what they actually do. And it's like they put on this front to make it look like they know. But I swear to God, I've had conversations with some really smart people, and it's almost like I know more about molecules. And I guess it's because I love to research this shit. This is my life. But it's their life too. And I guess it's just we have a different perspective. I have no limitation. Like, I don't have a job to keep, or like, I can say I took these psychedelics and they helped me face myself and helped me look at myself from a different perspective. I can say that I've talked to entities from across the other dimensions, and I can say that it's not a fucking metaphor. I can say that because that's me. But sometimes with these scientists, like, it's like I understand the molecules and receptor part almost just as much as they do, but it's like they won't listen to the psychonauts that actually travel with the psychedelics. Like, there are many, many, many psychonauts that travel with the psychedelics, and, like, way more than just me. And these people will come back with so many different experiences, so many different things, and it's like, it's like the scientists are held back by saying, well, it's just a thing in the brain, and it's like, okay, and they be sitting there, this is what started this whole thing. I heard this dude talking about, a psychedelic science dude talking about this shit, and he was just saying, when they talk about the entities, or they talk about this or that, it's probably just things that are in their brain that they're seeing. It's like something that they probably experienced through life that is kind of manifesting in a different way through the trip or whatever. And I was sitting here so disappointed because I was like, bro, it sounds like you've never even tripped before. Because, like, they basically try to say that it's all in the mind, but then I'd be sitting here like, bro, why is nobody looking at it like, okay, this is all in you could be sober as a motherfucker. That's all in your mind too. It's all serotonin. It's all dopamine. It's all norepinephrine. It's all oxytocin. It's all these different neurotransmitters and molecules. If you removed those neurotransmitters and molecules, you would not be able to see the same world that I see. You would not be able to experience the same thing that I'm experiencing. You would not be here with us, with the humans who have this human experience of having a human body that has a brain that fluctuates molecules back and forth all day long, forever. When you dream, like when you get tired at night, it's because your brain is starting to produce more melatonin. Like, melatonin makes you tired. But this is a natural neurotransmitter, and it's a tryptamine molecule at that, just like DMT or psilocybin, the molecule that's in mushrooms. They're tryptamine molecules, which is why those tryptamine molecules can go in where the serotonin goes. But as soon as you start fluctuating with the brain's molecules, you start fluctuating with the radio player. So, like, humans are like a radio player, where the human consciousness or human life, physical reality is like on one station. And that one station is almost like it's the perfect balance that your brain does with serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, whatever. The problem is we don't work on our brain, we don't take care of it, we don't understand it, we don't know, we don't use any like lion's mane, like we don't have any protocols or things to help us before we have a problem. Like, before you're sick, there should be like prevention things where it's like, in China, they have the Chinese herbs, the 52 Chinese herbs, right? Like, at least they have some type of idea of trying to get a prevention, because I bet they still have science, like, they still have hospitals and shit like that, but they also have the Chinese herbs. I think that our society, the whole planet Earth, sometime in the next 100, 200, 300 years, we need to get to an understanding of this shit. Like, we need to start listening to each other. Not just people with fucking degrees. People who have experience almost have more on the people that just have pieces of paper. And like, everyone is on the same playing field is what I'm saying. It reminds me of the Steve Jobs said, I'm paraphrasing because I fucking forget, but something like, the world was created by people that are no smarter than you. Like, everything in this world was created by people who are the same intelligence as you. They are the same as you. You can choose to gain knowledge. You can choose to learn. You can choose to listen. You can choose to, like, be open-minded. You could choose to, like, these are choices. Just like I chose to go down the psychedelic experience, I chose to research these things deeply, other than just, I chose to research it scientifically as well as spiritually, as well as whatever. But a lot of scientists are scared to get into something, and I feel like if you're scared, that means you already know that what you're about to get into is more real than what you're doing. And it's just the ego, it just doesn't want to admit that, okay, maybe I was wrong. Like, science can admit, because that's the whole point of science, to say, bro, we was wrong. Well, this science is better than the science we had 100 years ago. Let's go with the new science. Like, it's an evolution thing. It's a constant motion. That's why I like science. But scientists have their egos, so it's hard to get them to see that maybe they're wrong, because they'll always say that maybe we're wrong. Maybe they say that they had this trip and it was real, whatever, to them, and all these things, but it was all in their head or whatever. It's like, I would think that someone who truly understands molecules would think like, if human experience is all in our head anyways without drugs, then of course it's all in our head. It's all in our head. Like, I don't understand where else would it be. Like, when we talk about psychedelics taking us to another dimension, we're in a sense talking about when you replace the molecules at a high enough dose, then it literally almost transports your consciousness from one place, like, out of this dimension in a sense. Like, because this dimension is only experienced with the serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, with the perfect mixture that the brain creates. But when you start adding psychedelic molecules into that mixture, it changes the frequency to a higher frequency, which we call higher dimensions, which it seems, and it really does seem, this is just what I truly believe, that it really does seem to be that in these higher dimensions, beings exist. Just like in this third dimension, beings exist. We exist in this dimension. And our experience is based off the molecules that we have in our brain. So when we take the psychedelic at a high enough dose, it has to be at a high enough dose, then the experience of the dimension you're in, the frequency you're experiencing changes. Just like, if you have a radio player and let's say you only take a little bit of mushrooms, you only smoke a little bit of DMT. If you have a radio player and it's playing let's say it's playing, I don't know, 100.0. If you turn it to 101, or if you turn it to 100.2, it's going to start staticking. And if you keep going, and if you switch to 101, it's going to switch to a completely different station. But if you switch to 100.5, you'll be able to hear two different stations. Okay, so that's exactly like psychedelics. When you take a small dose, like if you take a moderate dose, you can in a sense see the other dimension and see this world at the same time. You're starting to blend the barriers between these dimensions. That's all. In these the word dimension is, I'm not being metaphorical, I'm being literal. That you're literally blending the boundaries between the radio stations. That you're stuck on one station. But if you have molecules that can turn the dial, and those molecules will then turn the dial, depending on how much you took of those, serotonin psychedelic molecules. So, if you took a high dose, then you won't even be able to hear or see the old station that you were in. You'll be in a completely new station, a new dimension, a new point of view of reality. And the best way I guess I've gotten there is DMT, right? High doses of DMT will take you all the way. But with mushrooms or even LSD, right? With meditation and like going in, put a blindfold on, you can when you start to remove this world willingly, it gets easier to travel into the other world. If you know how to meditate, that helps a lot too, because it helps you calm your mind while you're going through these very intense RIP experiences. But this is a whole fucking thing, bro. I don't know how to explain it, and scientists aren't ready for this. That's why they try to avoid it. That's why they try to avoid doing it. That's why they try to avoid talking about people like Kalindi E, because he was doing such high doses that he was basically smoking DMT, even though he was just doing mushrooms. But he was doing such high doses that his experiences were probably equivalent to DMT. Sometimes maybe even more intense. Who knows? But I guess what I'm saying is that a lot of people look at this with fear because they don't understand. And that's okay, but they only don't understand because they're looking at it in parts instead of looking at it as a whole thing. They are not looking at it, they're looking at trying to use it in a sense. We can use the psychedelics to heal our depression. We can use the psychedelics to help us get better ideas, to advance with technology and all this other shit. It is a tool that we can use, yes, but it'll help us understand what the fuck is going on. Within us, within what's